Hey, are you feeling shiftless? We got an automatic cure for you and your ride right now. Today on Horsepower TV, it's time for some high-performance manual labor. We'll swap the automatic trans in Chuck's Wagon with a 5-speed overdrive. We'll show you how to use a line lock for better launches at the track and take you to the nation's biggest Chevelle show, including some of the rarest and baddest of these mid-sized muscle machines ever built. So hang on for Horsepower TV. All right, welcome to the shop. You know, banging gears and a big block muscle car is an all-American passion that's been around since the 60s. Well, that's when 4-speeds became the favored means of transferring power in cars like, well, this 66 Chevelle. Now, today, manual transmissions are still a popular performance option, although needless to say, they've come a long way.
That's right. Now, the current crop of slick-shifting gearboxes are available with both 5 and 6 speeds. And, of course, they've got deeper gears in the lower ranges for maximum acceleration, plus overdrive for easy cruising and improved mileage. Now, today, we're going to swap out the automatic in my old grocery getter there for this Tremec 5-speed with overdrive. You see, a few weeks back, we installed a B&M blower in the thing, and the additional output exceeded the torque capacity of the overdrive automatic. Then to make things worse, we swapped out that old tired 454 for a 502 crate engine.
Yeah, with that new Tremec trans, we won't have to worry about torque capacity. It's built to handle 525 foot-pounds. Now, to take on a project like this, you're going to need a new bell housing, a new drive shaft, plus a clutch assembly and linkage. And better budget about 2 days for the work.
Once we've supported the transmission with a jack, we can go ahead and remove the trans mount and the cross member. Then the cooler lines, linkage, torque converter bolts, and the bell housing bolts.
Well, we won't be needing this old flex plate anymore. In fact, it gets replaced with this new flywheel we use with our clutch assembly. Of course, it's a good idea to install new bolts like these ARPs with a dab of thread lock on them to keep them from backing out on you.
For a clutch, we're using Center Force's dual friction assembly. Now, here's how it got its name. The disc actually has 2 different types of friction material on it. Now, this side goes towards the flywheel. This side goes towards the pressure plate. And speaking of pressure plates, well, this is pretty unique too. See these weights that have been attached to the fingers? Now at high speed, they're actually forced outward. That's going to give you even more clamping pressure.
Okay, well, I just finished torquing our flywheel bolts to 115 foot-pounds. Next, we can install this pilot bushing. It goes here at the end of the crankshaft and supports the transmission's input shaft. Without it, you can wear out your bearings and you won't get proper clutch engagement.
Now that bushing might look small, but it plays a big part in this swap. Here, hold this pressure plate for a second.
Sure.
Now we're going to go ahead and use this transmission alignment tool to help us line up our disc. First, we position the clutch disc, then the pressure plate goes on. Now use new bolts with Loctite and torque them to 60 foot-pounds.
Okay, the bell housing bolts up next, but first, we're adding a new throwout fork, throwout bearing, and boot, so we don't have to repeat this drill several thousand miles from now. Oh, here's a little tip for you. Add a dab of grease to this pivot ball inside the housing and the seat here for extra good lubrication.
The Tremec Trans was originally designed for high-output Ford applications, but Ford Ace Parts Connection sells a version that they've modified, so it's a perfect replacement for most Muncie, Saginaw, and Borg-Warner transmissions. Now, up front, they rely on a 26-spline fine GM input, and out back, they use a standard C6 output. Now, that means you're going to have to adapt this yoke to your drive shaft. Under here, they've re-drilled the mounting pad to accept a GM trans mount, and we're using a urethane piece from Energy Suspension.
That's tight. Now here's a little tip that'll save you a last-minute run to the parts store. Get yourself a starter for a manual trans application that'll clear the bell housing. Also, all big blocks except the 502 have a provision for the clutch linkage pivot ball, so we got this adapter from Scoggin Dickey that bolts right up here to the bell housing.
Man, this Tremec's a lot larger than a Muncie, so what do you say we put it up in there, check our trans tunnel clearance?
Okay, well, hope we get lucky and everything fits. Meanwhile, you stay with us. We'll take a short break and return with our manual labor after this. Later in the show, we'll reflect on the glory days of a monumental muscle car. It's a Chevelle shindig full of show car kings, but few trailer queens, so stay with us. Hey, welcome back to the shop and our grocery getter's transformation. Well, we didn't get so lucky after all. We've got to do some major surgery on the trans tunnel to make room for that new 5-speed.
First, though, we need to get rid of the console, seats, and carpet. Now, that's going to give us plenty of room so that we can attack this trans tunnel. The shifter on the Tremec Trans sits about 4 inches further back than the stock, so we had to lose the console. But we still want the factory look, so we ordered this non-console hump from Original Parts Group. I'm going to go ahead and mark the new location. Now, further forward, we had some interference on the trans tunnel as well, so I'm going to make a 3-sided cut. We can raise it up, fill it in with sheet metal to get the clearance that we need.
While Dr. Chuck performs his sheet metal surgery over there, let me show you the rest of our inside story. This new pair of pedals replaces the original brake pedal under the dash. Now, OPG offers this as a kit complete with cross shaft, linkage, plus the throw-out fork bearing and boot we installed on the bell housing earlier. Now, we'll get to work installing this after he finishes welding. Hey there, Doc. Looks like the operation was a success.
Well, I'm just finishing up with my silicone suture. Now, I hope you've got some good Medicare insurance.
Yeah, well, I think we need a policy against bad jokes. What do you say we get under the dash here and remove that old pedal? Now, it's pretty simple. Let me show you. Just disconnect the brake clevis, then remove the pedal pivot pin and pull the assembly out. We'll reuse this brake light bracket. Now, before installing the new pedals, make sure you put a dab of grease on this shaft here for lubrication. Then you just slide them back into the stock location and reconnect the brake clevis.
Since the Tremec uses a rail-type shifter, we ordered this one from Hurst. Now, it's going to give us short, solid shifts, plus it's got positive stops here so that we won't overshift and possibly damage our transmission. Great job on the pedals.
Hey, thanks a lot. Don't mention it.
Well, you're not done yet. Tell you what, while I install the shifter, would you mind taking the wheel well out so we can put the linkage on the engine?
Yeah, I better go get the floor jack. Okay, with that fender well out of the way, we can bolt up this cross shaft support to the frame. We'll use these 2 holes that have already been drilled at the factory. Our cross shaft is next. Now, here's a trick you might try yourself. We welded gussets to ours to eliminate flex and give more positive clutch action. Now, this end slips onto the pivot ball on the engine. The other end just slides onto this slot. Next, we connect the push rod to the clutch pedal, through the firewall, and to the cross shaft.
The last part of the linkage to get installed is the clutch push rod. Now, it goes between the cross shaft and the clutch fork, but hey, we got to get the car up in the air to do it. You can adjust your clutch free play here. Now, we're looking for about 3/4 of an inch at the pedal.
Well, I got the gear lube. I'll tell you what, I'll fill up the tranny while you get that new drive shaft.
That's a great idea. A high-tech tranny deserves a high-tech drive shaft, so check out this carbon fiber piece that we got from ACPT. Now, they start with carbon fibers just like this, and after treating them with epoxies, they wind them around a mandrel, finally ending up with a cylinder just like this. Now, to make a drive shaft, they go ahead and just cut it to length, then attach that U-joint end with a special bonding agent. Besides being lightweight, carbon fiber drive shafts absorb drivetrain harmonics to reduce vibrations. Plus, they have a higher speed capacity and more torsional wind-up to reduce drivetrain shock every time you let out the clutch.
Well, that's about it. What do you say we take a break while I put this wheel and fender well back on?
And I'm going to take a shower. After all, who do you think did most of the work?
Stay with us. We'll take you to a place where this wagon's going to feel right at home.
Why do I love it? I love the fact that it's a convertible and it's fast.
It's Chevelle'bration time next on the show. And later, using a line lock kit to keep the red light out of your lane at the track. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. The last Chevelles rode off the assembly line back in the 70s, but to countless fans of this mighty muscle car, doesn't get any better than this or this. So get several hundred together for an annual power party. You got yourself a Chevelle'bration.
1, 2, 3. Chevelle! That was good.
They drove here from all parts to celebrate their shared love of this momentous muscle machine, all members of the American Chevelle Enthusiast Society, ACES for short. Most have special reasons for being Chevelle guys that go back to high school days.
My car back then was as fast as anything in the whole county, and this one's pretty quick too, and I like that feeling. And Chevelle is just it. There's no better muscle car in the world.
It's the lines of the car. It's the way the car, looks when it's sitting and moving. It just has sweet lines. It makes the car look good.
I think you got to feel it from the inside, and it's kind of hard to tell somebody. If you ain't one, you can't tell them what you really are. I guess it's a part of our past.
And some have present-day mods like big bad blowers and eye-popping graphics. But among the pure stock Chevelles here are some true gems, like the 6 Z16s that showed up, and Terry Gunner brought 2 of them.
They call them a Z16 because they had a 396, 375 horse motor. They rushed them into production to compete with GTOs and made them 2 months, only produced 200 of them.
Even more unique is this 69 300 Deluxe with the SS option. Pretty much a bare-bones plain Jane in its time, now a rare and revered treasure among Chevelle fans.
This is one of the rarest of them all because it's a 2-door post sedan. Nobody knows the exact amount of numbers of how many of these cars, but they guesstimate only 6 of this particular car was ever made.
Being so rare, I guess you never drive it.
I drive it all the time.
For the participants, this event was an opportunity for some serious bench racing and story swapping. For any car nut with a camera, it was like
a beauty contest. And you've gone through the contestants, and now you have the final 10. This is the final one. This is the winner, Miss Universe.
Oh, I almost forgot. The president of ACES is a notorious Chevelle lover who happens to be my Horsepower TV co-host.
Well, you guys got a favorite car here yet? I'm looking for the president's pick, and there's so many nice ones here.
It's hard to say.
It is. It really is.
A Chevelle'bration is a family event with games for the kids, ranging from tire changing contest to die-cast car racing on the gravity ramp. Of course, the big kids can play too. And I think my partner pulls a rope better than he pulls an engine. Meanwhile, seeing this convertible he used to own seemed to tug at his heartstrings a bit.
I don't suppose I could talk you into letting me drive this thing later.
Sure, I sure can.
It'd be good to drive this old car again. Oh, this is a great show. Yeah.
Rub, 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 and rub some more.
Now, they didn't just come here to shine their cars and show them off. They came here to drive them. After all, it wouldn't be a Chevelle-abration without a Chevelle cruise. And this cruise ended at the track, Nashville's Music City Raceway, where some of the Chevelle guys decided to put their prize rides through the paces.
Mama said, don't you get that little red car out there on that track. I said, baby, it's been about 30 years since I've been out here on that track. I'm fixing to bust her open right now.
If it breaks, you fix it. If it gets scratched, you paint it. You know, if you break something, that's why you have them, because they're going to break and you're going to end up fixing them. You should enjoy it. You know, life is short.
And life is good. These Chevelleaholics, anytime they can share the cool looks, hot performance, and warm memories of their favorite bow tie breed.
4 tanks of gas and, you know, no air conditioning and 92-degree heat. It was fun. Worth it. Every minute of it.
Welcome back. If you're running a manual transmission like I am in my old grocery getter now, and you like to bracket race, well, you know what it's like to have both your ride and your pride on the line. One sure way to hurt your pride is to roll through the lights while the tree is still coming down. After all, nobody likes to light that red bulb. Not only is it embarrassing, but it'll take you out of the competition right away.
Well, one sure way to stay on track is to keep your front wheels locked until you're ready to leave the line. And you can do that with one of these Hurst roll control kits. This solenoid connects with your brake line, and once you set the brake, it holds the pressure. Then you just hold down this button and release it when you're ready to go.
The first step is to find a suitable location to mount the solenoid. Now, that means keeping it away from heat, suspension, and steering components. In fact, this fender well right here looks like a real likely location. Now you're ready to splice into the front brake lines, but I gotta tell you, there are just about as many ways to plumb a brake system as there are types of cars.
That's right, so you need to check your instructions closely to find the one that applies to yours. Now, you can make your installation a lot easier with one of these roll control installation kits. They come with all the brake lines and hardware you need to plumb your system.
Locating the switch is easy. Most people like it right down here on the shifter. That way they can activate it while grabbing the next gear. Now, once you've got it mounted, you can go ahead and wire it up.
To do that, find a 12-volt wire that's hot only when the ignition is on and connect it to this fuse which comes with the kit. From there to the roll control switch. Now the other roll control switch wire gets spliced with one lead going to this indicator light you mount on your dash, the other to the red lead connected to the solenoid. Now this black solenoid lead just grounds the system out.
There's some things about this roll control kit that really make sense to us. For instance, the solenoid's made out of stainless steel to resist corrosion, and of course that can be a problem around any braking system. But more importantly, it's rebuildable using one of their inexpensive kits.
Hey, don't forget you can also accessorize it with things like this neat T-handle with a built-in release button. So next time you're on a roll and your pride's on the line, you can lock and load instead.
Hey, while we're out to launch, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Hot Parts.
Now, Horsepower's Hot Parts, brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment, your source for high-performance parts for 30 years.
Hey, if you want to stay ahead of the game, here's one way to do it. It's TrickFlow's new 23-degree small block Chevy head. For about the price of an assembled cast iron head, this one gives you more power, the light weight of aluminum, and these big 202/160 stainless steel valves. They also have hardened exhaust seats so you can run that unleaded pump gas and won't pump your wallet either. They only cost about $800 a pair.
But if you want to pump up your ignition, well, you can do it with Holley's new billet aluminum distributor. Now, it features fully caged roller bearings at the top and bottom, plus the main shaft is case hardened and full 1/2 inch in diameter. Now, the cap and rotors feature these brass inserts for maximum voltage transfer, and they're fully phaseable for race applications. Holley's also added mechanical and vacuum advance, plus the price ought to spark your interest too at about $220.
Here's something else you'll get a charge out of. If your vehicle doesn't see regular use, then Autometer's battery extender can keep its battery fully charged and prevent it from becoming sulfated and shorting out inside. Now, it has a 1 amp trickle charge with a 250 milliamp maintenance current, and of course it has all the clips and adapters you need to hook it to any battery, and it's a good way to stay abreast of current events for a little over $50.
Sounds revolting to me, but I like it. And you like next week's show? Here's a look.
We'll use some retro tech techniques to bring new life to an old Ford FE engine using a high-performance rebuild kit, plus a new camshaft, aluminum heads, intake manifold, and more. Then we'll show you how to install a cool new sound system on your trusty old street machine. And remember, high-performance fun is what this show is all about.
Shut up, man. Let's race. Come on.
Stage up.
I'm staged.
Horsepower TV is an RTM production.